Hi everyone, and welcome to your Intro to Sociology lesson, looking today at exam questions. So before you panic, please don't, we're going to have a look at what kinds of questions you might get on the stuff that we've done this term. So you guys know that I've been super impressed with all the work that you've sent me, and I think it's important now that we have a think about where this is headed and what this has all been for. So we're just going to have a look today at some exam questions. Now, I know you're probably thinking I'm crazy because the exams are 2 years away and they feel a really long way off, but I'm a big believer that it never hurts to start thinking about how what you've learned could be examined at the end of the course. Passing exams is not tricky. Having the material to pass the exams, now that is tricky. So making sure that you're learning these keywords as we go along and that you're taking on board the tips and things that I give you about exam questions is really, really important. My aim is that it's a bit like playing a game and you need to know the rules. So what I'm going to start to introduce to you, and we'll do it all the way through the course, are the rules for different types of questions and how all the content and all the stuff that you've learned can be turned into marks in the exam. So everything that we've done so far could come up in questions on component 1 of the exams. So you have component 1 and component 2. Component 1 is the first paper, and this is where we find all this kind of intro to sociology stuff. Today we're going to have a look at some sample questions. I'm going to talk through, discuss some of the possible answers, and I'd like you can do it as we go along, or you can test yourself and do it at the end. I really don't mind. They're short answer questions, so hopefully it won't take too long. I want you to have a go at the questions and send them over to me. Next lesson, I'm going to put up the answers. So I use the mark scheme and my own answers, and you can mark your work and we can see kind of how many marks you would get if you were having a go. So there's nothing you shouldn't know if you've done the work. Okay, so you can see it's really pretty and attractive, not? I've just copied and pasted from the exam board's website. And this is from the sample paper. So this is what they sent out to us when they were setting up this new GCSE. And so I say new, it's been going for about 4 years. But this new GCSE in sociology. And question number 2 on paper 1 gives you a little passage, and it gets you to answer a few questions based on that passage. I just read that to you. The family is a primary agent of socialization. In the family, children are introduced to the culture of their society and learn acceptable ways of behaving. Children learn the norms and values of their society, as well as other basic skills such as language, so that they can communicate with others. And in the UK, children are taught how to eat with a knife and fork and to respect their parents. So quite a few key words in there that we've learnt: primary, socialisation agents, culture, norms, values, all of those things we've talked about quite a bit. And question A is really quite straightforward. It's a 2-mark question, and it says describe what is meant by culture. So to get 2 marks on this question, ideally what you do is you'd explain a definition of culture. So culture might be the way of life of a particular society. Probably get you 1 mark, but for that 2nd mark you need to give an extra point. So what you need to give is something else that might contribute to culture. So it could be norms and values, it could be skills, beliefs, roles, any of those kinds of things that we've talked about. But you can see there, I've copied and pasted this from the paper. That's all the space they give you to answer this question. For 2 marks, they're looking for 2 short sentences, 2 things that can be ticked, but no more than 4 or 5 lines. And they're quite short lines as well. So they're not expecting you to write lots for this question. Just get a definition and a quick example down, and we'll go from there. So pause and have a go at that one. Question B is only worth 1 mark, so it's quite nice and straightforward. So it says identify a norm in the passage above. Now we know a norm is an expected way of behaving. Bit of a hint from me here. Often norms and values get mixed up. So check your definitions. Hopefully you've got that sociology dictionary or flashcards or mind map that I got you to make the other week, where we've got all those definitions down. And go back to the passage and see if you can pick out which of the things that they mention is a norm. And then question C, explain why socialization by the family is important. So this is talking about primary socialisation, and it's an explain question. So it's worth 2 marks. Again, 4 lines, 5 lines only. They need you to give 2 short sentences. Why is the family so important for socialisation? And make sure you give 2 things to say. So I'd firstly explain how the family does socialisation, what it's all about, and then maybe give an example of the kinds of things that children learn. And then question B looks at gender and gender roles in the family and how children are socialised into their gender. We've done this, so hopefully you've got 2 ways, and it's really straightforward how you get your 4 marks. So it says identify and explain 2 ways. So what you get is 2 marks for identifying and explaining one way, and another 2 marks for identifying and explaining another way. Now again, have a look at how many lines they give you. There's only 8 lines, so they're only looking for, a couple of sentences for each one. So thinking about how children learn their gender in the family. Now we've talked about things like role models, toys, the way that parents speak to their children. That's giving you a few clues there. So go back to your notes on gender socialisation. You can absolutely use your notes for this. I really don't mind. And have a go at identifying and explaining 2 ways in which children are socialised into gender roles in the family. And then question 3 has another little passage all about feral children. So the nature versus nurture debate is an important debate in sociology. Sociologists are more interested in the nurture side of the debate. They argue that children are taught the culture of their society. Agents of socialization, such as the family, media, peer group, and education, pass on culture. They use examples of feral children to show how important nurture and socialization are. Feral children are often not able to fit into society easily. So question A is explain why some children are feral. So we watched, you either watched a video with 4 or 5 different examples of feral children, or you watched the video about Jeannie. So have a think, what is it that makes children feral? Give 2 points. So explain why. You want to kind of explain 2 things, or give 1 thing and a consequence of that. But again, 4 or 5 lines at most, explaining why some children grow up to be feral. And question B, explain 2 reasons why sociologists believe in the nurture theory of behaviour. So based on everything we've talked about this term, you need to give 2 reasons. So again, it's 2 marks per reason, so make sure you're giving 2 things to tick. Explain 2 reasons why sociologists believe in the nurture theory of behaviour. So why do sociologists believe that your society and your culture are more important than your biology? And hopefully you've got loads of evidence and examples of that from this term. And then finally, part C, explain 2 reasons why feral children may have difficulty fitting into society. So think about it. What is it that feral children are lacking? What do they not have? You can name some of the examples, Oksana, Jeannie, from the video clips that I got you guys to watch. Why do those children find it hard to fit into society? And you just need to explain 2 reasons. So hopefully that's all really straightforward and you can cope with that really well. Have a go. That's all I'm asking you to do. Send me your work when you're done, and then in our next lesson I'll send you a PowerPoint like this. We'll go through the answers and have a look at the kinds of things you could have included. I'm very excited to see how well you guys have grasped all of this and to see what you come up with. Take care.